concerned.
And just your thoughts finally, and if you could look at Mike when you answer, on...
You're prettier. Cut that.
What?
First of all, I need you to hold that card up like you did before with 2 fingers. No, you had it the other way, sir. I mean,
The booking office.
And like
yes,
this.
but you had 2 fingers on it. These 2.
Actually, you had these
yeah.
two, it was like this.
Okay.
That's it,
Exactly,
that's
that
it.
was it.
You have a very steady hand. You would have been
Take
a good
42.
surgeon. You would have been a good surgeon.
My assistant's wife is a surgeon.
Oh.
Isn't that an odd couple? He's a policeman, she's a surgeon, and a darn good one, out of Detroit.
Wow.
So she's seen a lot of trauma.
I'll bet. Okay. Is this problem just something that goes with the territory, or is this a big new concern?
I think it's a problem that's going to go with the territory. I think there's a certain segment of society that's going to live off any type of major organization that has a guaranteed payroll. And I think something as large as Fort Bragg, which to my knowledge is probably the largest military base in the world, manpower-wise, is going to bring in that type of people that are looking to draw these people into activities, to sell them illegal drugs, to get them involved in anything.
But does a chill go through you when you see a Chicago, national gang that allegedly had its, directions being given from a guy who was in prison for 200 years and kind of a notorious group, that card-carrying member of a Chicago gang is soldier at Fort Bragg and shooting up people in your jurisdiction?
It certainly does, and it's something that we're not going to allow to happen here, and we're going to do what it takes to stop it. Our best thing now is that it's happened, it's tragic, but it puts us on alert to stop it.
And there's no doubt in your mind that this is a gang-related incident that soldiers at Fort Bragg are connected with?
There's no doubt from the information we've received and talking to people and the fact that one of them's carrying a card. We don't want to paint the military with a bad brush. I personally love the military. I think they do an outstanding job. I think they have some people that are following the wrong path.
And did that beeper number and all that other stuff pan out on that card? I mean, was that stuff
Yes.
that was working?
Mhm.
He had a beeper number? And,
Mhm.
Okay. Right, and Stephanie was asking me to ask you, has there been a change in the type of graffiti that you've seen here, from primitive to more sophisticated? What's going on?
Several years ago, and that's when most agencies in North Carolina got involved in looking at different things because of the influx of gang symbols and signs. Our first experience was pretty primitive writings that to us was to imitate what the gangs were about and what they did. But here recently, the symbols, the paintings have become very well done and done to the exactness of the Chicagos, the LAs, the New Yorks. That concerns us because it's a more intelligent person doing it, an older person, not a young kid trying to emulate someone else, but someone that's actually in the gangs. So that concerns us. And answer your
That was
question.
good. Stephanie, what else?
Perhaps 2 last points. If this turns out to be rival gang members in a dispute, I mean, what are you getting from 4 or 6 people who are in the house? Have they been speaking to you at all?
The people in the house have cooperated as far as they felt necessary for their own self-preservation. They have indicated to us that they were fearful because it was a gang member they shot, and they felt that would be retaliation for this. Therefore, I'm concerned because one of the people in the house has gone out and purchased an assault rifle. That concerns me, that if he feels that strongly about his safety, that there's something for us to fear about it. So from that...
Yeah, there was somebody talking over,
Well, and it
What?
that would have been talking over his answer.
Okay, sure.
No,
That's-
just, I mean, what are your thoughts? It appears to be gangs trying to perhaps recruit from a population that is trained to kill. I mean, what's the significance of that? I mean, that's got to be a frightening thought.
That's always going to be a situation. Anytime you're around a military base, is that you've got young people out there that are away from home. This is their first experience away from home. They don't have mom and dad to guide them anymore. So it's a concern to us that these type of groups would go out there and actively try to get them involved in anything from racist activities to gang activities to illegal use of drugs. All that concerns us as well as probably it concerns Fort Bragg, that people are out there trying to incorporate military soldiers into activities that they shouldn't be involved in.
And your indication is the individual who lost his life in this shooting was what?
He was a gang member, proclaimed himself to be a gang member to many people that we've talked to, and had an extensive record which indicated a lot of criminal activity on his part.
And he was a recruiter also, or?
To me, it looks like, he's the legitimate member of a gang, and these soldiers are kind of like followers of him, and that's his job is probably out trying to recruit people like that because
And I'm still struggling to try and find out why somebody shot somebody else in this, and I know I've asked you that 3 times, and I still don't have it clear in my mind as to why they shot each other.
we may never know the answer, but it's our interpretation of what's happened is that this is over drugs and territorial rights to sell drugs.
And the soldiers presumably, or you're speculating, were trying to
The soldiers,
enforce what?
the soldiers were there for the benefit of this person that was killed. They drove him there. What concerned me is, if that was their only activity, if they were just drawn into something to give someone a ride, that's one thing. That they were both armed and that they opened fire on occupied houses, that's concerning me.
It sounds like they may have been in the car to provide protection to this individual. Is that
Exactly.
logical?
Exactly. Is our interpretation of it is they were there to provide the transportation to the place, knowing that when he got to the place there was going to be trouble, and if there was trouble they were prepared to deal with it, and in fact did. I couldn't explain how someone else was not injured from the number of rounds that was discharged into those 2 houses.
Okay, I'm beginning to understand it better. Okay, thanks, and we're done.
No, we're not. Chief?
We had a woman here that was kidnapped in the western part of the state and was shot point blank with a shotgun in the face, and his wife saved her.
A couple of soldiers from, maybe they were being paid a little something.
I don't
for
think so.
drugs. No?
I think stupidity drove them.
I'll tell you, we're gonna shoot, hold on to
If we
that
could
sec-
shoot those afterwards, just for a
Yeah,
minute.
just hold on to that for a second. Okay, now I'll take the other one, sir.
TV news, in the making.
But they didn't kill anyone with those
Here's one
shots.
oddity, and whether it's important or not. Because the shooting had occurred the week before at that residence, when the call went out that there was shooting in the area,
Yeah, you
I've-
can drop that down, sir.
drop it down.
Yes.
I have some pretty smart police officers, and one of them went in a back way because the streets over there are formed in a U with an outlet. Came in on the outlet street, and that's what got these fellows caught. Is he met this car coming an outlet
Oh.
street, stopped him, noticed that there was a lot of empty shell casings in the car, and then saw the 2 weapons. And so he arrested them on the spot. This was before we ever knew that there was someone shot and had been killed. Second car went directly to 111. All the people in the house after the shooting, because of all the shooting outside, and I guess I would do the same thing, they fled. So when we got there, all we had was a dead man on the floor. The people in the car made the statement, "How's the guy I shot?" They thought they had shot someone. So when my officers call me at midnight, they think they have my shooter over on another street. But then another man drives up and says, "I shot him." Well, my thing is, well, wait a minute. Can't everybody shoot the guy unless we got multiple holes? I don't. He shot one time with a shotgun. And he says, "There's the gun." So these guys actually thought they had hit someone. So that gave me reason to believe that they shot with intent to hit people.
I got you. Do you need to get behind?